my world. Disappointed. Very disappointed. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed. Very disappointed. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed. Very disappointed. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We are live.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Mind Your Biz Monday. So even though the weekend's over, there's never a dull moment in cryptocurrency. We've got a ton of crypto news to cover today. And, not to mention the price action and the volatility that we've seen just in the last few hours, right?
Oh yeah, it's been a very exciting weekend on more than one project. Anybody who's holding crypto right now or who executed some well-placed trades they're having a great Monday.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are really happy right now and a lot of people who are really upset that they didn't make the right calls and are calling everything that they are holding a scam. Have you noticed that at all, Seth?
I have not noticed that kind of sour grapes just yet, but it's to be expected. I mean, come on, this is crypto. People are like, we'd say like, what, it can make you or break you, but it's like, what's the opposite of wrecked? Like, there's something that rhymes with wrecked. Anyway, people are either rich or wrecked, right, in this space. Yeah. And so there's like no in between. Either you're over the moon with excitement and elation, or you just hate everyone and everything.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So I guess that's really the reason why we do Scam Buster Saturdays the way that we do. that's why we do all of our evaluations the way that we do them, is to try to evaluate things by an objective set of criteria so that nobody says that we're favoring one project or another project, but giving our audience the tools to make their minds up for themselves. I try not to place my own, value judgments on things. And I know, Seth, you do the same. So kind of wanted to address that because it's something that came up on Twitter today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think there were a couple people who kind of, let's see now. Let's go back to our tile view there. We had some pushback on Twitter as well, or in the comments here on YouTube, somebody pushing back and saying like, hey, why are you even evaluating Ethereum the way we did on Saturday? And I told him it's because we haven't looked at it even remotely critically before, the two of us. We just take for granted that it's okay. There's no aspect of it that could be considered a scam, but even that is to be revisited and maybe questioned a little bit.
For sure. And we didn't say anything negative about Ethereum. All we did was evaluate it using the same criteria that we use to evaluate other projects. I thought that was really important to give our audience, just, maybe people who are newer to crypto. I know a lot of, my friends are, newer, just getting into it. And I wanted them to see what it looks like when you use that same set of criteria to apply to a more established project. It has nothing to do with a dislike for the project or thinking that it should be a scam. That's not how we choose the projects that we evaluate.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. And we're totally open to suggestions. So audience, if at any point during tonight's live stream, you want to prime our content pipeline with some new project that you think should be evaluated, should be asked those questions. Is this a scam? And let's go through the process, at least the preliminary process of asking, are there elements of it that could be considered a scam? You let us know in the comments section. There's something you want us to review. Go ahead and we'll put it through those paces at one of these future Saturday shows. We're always open to suggestions.
Speaking of our Saturday show, I'm so enthusiastic about doing a report on 3 projects this week. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, and everybody seems to want, reviews of all 3 projects. The one that my neighbor pitched me, which, we agreed and actually won the poll, right?
Right.
That's kind of forefront. The other 2 that I really want to write about, this week are Bitcoin BTC and then also Karatbars, because we've been talking about covering it for a while and there was tons of pushback. Oh, don't even bother. It is a scam. Well, hey guys, whenever someone says don't bother, you're asking me to trust, not verify. Sorry, no.
That's true. Yeah, it has to be able to objectively be called that. And it could be that some people have a really well-trained gut. Like when you talk to a business person that's very successful, they can give you their off-the-cuff opinion, whatever, their executive summary of what they think about something. But even that is just an opinion. We've seen people who are imbued with a lot of trust because of social standing or because of past successes be wrong repeatedly. It happens, even to the best of them. So yeah, I'm with you. We have to go through that process and ask. It's worth revisiting even some of the most established names, and precisely because we've given them so much trust.
Well, and because we say things like, we claim to be objective or as objective as possible. And being objective means evaluating projects that other people say are scams, or maybe even that you yourself determine to be a scam with the same criteria that you evaluate everything else with. Otherwise, that's not objective journalism. And I don't think that either one of us wants to get that kind of reputation.
Yeah, I totally agreed. Totally agreed. Yeah, there's legacy stuff that we've worked on that just, reputation's everything. It's just not worth it, guys. Yeah, we won't sell out like that. So all that out of the way, you don't even need to trust us, right? Verify. Please
don't trust us.
Yeah, it's a process, right?
Please don't trust us.
Yeah, we're advocating a process and a thought pattern. It's a bit like science, right? People who say they believe in science are not to be believed themselves. You need to do science to understand how to prove and disprove theories. So anyway, awesome. We've got so much lined up for tonight, Nicole. When you kicked over some of the content for tonight, I was like, oh my gosh, are we going to be able to make this work in the live stream? Because normally we've got a guest to kind of pick on, right? And ask questions of and highlight and get to know. But I'm really excited.
Yeah. So all news tonight. First article, right, is about Ethereum kind of establishing itself as a lifestyle brand on top of, a major name in technology. Do you have that article up, Seth?
I do, yeah. And then I see the highlights that you have right there. I've just got the highlighted section pulled up.
Yeah. So sort of what I already said, then we're going to quote this author's this piece's author, which is Lee Kuyan, of course, who everyone knows because she was the person who was tagged on the J.K. Rowling Twitter Bitcoin episode. So this visual aesthetic sets it apart from the generally older and more academic Bitcoin community, speaking about the unicorns and rainbows that so many associate with Ethereum. I'm going to say that to some extent, I agree, because when I first got into cryptocurrency, I actually was really drawn to the unicorns and rainbows, not because of just, me having a little girl or me being female myself, but more about what those kind of things symbolized. So if that's the intent, then they're doing that effectively. So I don't know about generally older or more academic Bitcoin community, though. I'm going to disagree there because I'm not necessarily sure that the Bitcoin community is more academic. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I strongly disagree, strongly kind of react against the characterization of the older Bitcoin guard being particularly academic. There are several people in the Bitcoin promotion space who are early hodlers, and hodlers of last resort. They even describe themselves as hodlers of last resort, who are very much incentivized to promote Bitcoin and other early projects, even early forks and altcoins like Litecoin, without necessarily understanding them. There are some people in the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin education space. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to hurt feelings here tonight, but there are some people who say, yeah, no, I understand Bitcoin very well. But then when pressed for details about user data privacy and personal security, things like multi-signature wallets, having ever tried them, running a full node, having ever tried it in the better part of 6 to 8 years of promoting Bitcoin, and they've never done it. If they're being called academic, or their interest in Bitcoin is being called academic, I'm with you, Nicole. I question that.
Well, particularly not when it's saying it's academic, but is it more academic? I mean, no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't know. Okay, so continuing, one tendency crypto fans, Bitcoins and Ethereans alike share is the preoccupation with identifying posers who don't belong to a chosen crypto revolution. I'm going to strongly agree with that statement. We're really quick to call each other out for being scammers, not Seth and I, right? But a lot of people in the community. We're really quick to say that anybody who doesn't back whatever project that is strongly backing or that we have the largest bags in is, I don't know, poser isn't the right word to use for it here, but it applies, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that being involved in this space where you can be accused of promoting projects just by highlighting them or by talking about them or by wanting to evaluate them publicly, that can be labeled as promotion because it does give some free airtime and some free press to these projects. To work in this space is to be called a scammer. On occasion, everybody who's published anything with regards to any project at one point or another, if they've maintained some consistency in that publication schedule, has been called a scammer or a poser. It comes with the territory. But yeah, totally. Ethereans and hardcore Bitcoiners are the first to call you, like you said, a scammer, and in my experience also a poser. They're all trying to find out, why, or a LARPer is their favorite term.
Oh yeah, LARPers. Yeah. So this ties back to something that we were already talking about, which is, giving airtime to people or to projects that we see as, that some determine to be scams. Guys, if no airtime was ever given to something that people didn't believe was a scam, Bitcoin never would have been covered. No crypto ever would have been covered on mainstream media. So if what you want is a censored media outlet that's going to hold back information about projects that they think might be scams, maybe that's where you should go.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm just kind of astounded that anybody is advocating for any kind of censorship in this space, right? Because that's a major issue here. We don't like being censored. Why are we trying to censor other projects that we deem scams? Why are we not trying to educate the people so that they can make up their own minds, so that so that nobody has to be responsible for anybody except for themselves? Isn't that kind of the main goal of here?
Yeah, and that's just it. Satoshi himself in some of the early communications talked about how Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the future would very much appeal to the anarcho-capitalist libertarian, right? To the libertarian mind. So being educated for oneself, understanding the domain to the level that the individual has to. I mean, I'm not going to talk about which coin is Satoshi's vision, but I am going to say that Satoshi was very explicit about that in the early communications. So we have to evaluate it. Like you've been saying, Nicole, in other words, we have to evaluate it for ourselves.
And we have to give it free airtime, press,
Yep. Especially if
right?
it has warts, especially if it, people don't think it's great. Yeah, it needs to be.
Yeah. So, actually, for anybody who is really interested in pursuing that, more on that anarcho-capitalism and anarcho-capitalism merging with socialism, they should check out the article that we have open right now. I'm not going to get all into the details of it, but there's some discussion about socialism meets anarcho-capitalism, libertarianism, both in this article and in the next one that we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to move on. So one common gripe among Ethereum critics that the project keeps changing focus doesn't hold up if we consider the community's goal rather than its tools. So the Ethereum community has generally followed these principles across a variety of software experiments over the past 5 years. What they're talking about is that maybe the project keeps changing focus, but that's because it is shifting, or at least, this author's interpretation of that is that that's because it's shifting to, accommodate those who are contributing to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna chime in on this also, and I'm just gonna make a bit of a silly joke here, but you could say that Ethereum is the only true and living smart contract platform. I think they're not going to evangelize in that way. It's just really funny, too, because a really good system of government needs to adapt. Parts of it need to adapt, and especially when you talk about trying to codify parts of systems of government, when it comes to finance, it needs to adapt. It's just kind of been shown over and over again with specifically smart contracts, the languages they're written in, code itself, this idea, the trope that code is law. We had a little bit of a thread going on Twitter about that. This stuff requires refinement over time. So to believe that people have perfectly nailed the vision and perfectly nailed the mission on the first go, I think is a little bit short-sighted. It does need to be refined. It does need to be whittled away. And unfortunately, there will be hurt feelings and there will be lost money along the way when you're talking about something like a cryptocurrency and smart contract platforms that are meant to be sort of custodianship-free guardians of people's value, right? Within that system, people can, still be sovereign, but things can break. Right, the pipes that run everybody's business interests and finance interests can break. So, yeah, absolutely, it probably needs to be iterated. Anyone who says it's perfect, flawless, done, either hasn't thought of a future use case or doesn't need it to be flexible. So, for it to change focus a little bit, I get. You're familiar with the book Catch-22, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so. You'd have to be crazy you have to be crazy, but being aware that you're crazy shows that that is like the crux of the thing here with decentralized finance and cryptocurrency. You'd have to be crazy to entirely trust yourself to totally trustless systems where there is no refinement being made. I think.
I'd agree. Yeah.
So
Millennials didn't invent this moralistic and social approach to technology, referring to Ethereum. And Bitcoin purists who claim that Ethereum is failing aren't measuring success in the same way as Ethereans. I think we kind of already discussed some of that. Do you have anything else to say about there?
Yeah, no, I think this is pretty spot on. There's a lot that's really good here.
All right, cool. So moving on to our next article, which is also from Cointelegraph, Matt Luongo. He's talking about how millennials are shaping the future of money. Now, I thought that was really interesting, tied to our previous article, because we're talking about, a millennial-derived global decentralized finance structure in Ethereum, and now we're thinking about how millennials are shaping the future of money.
Yeah. Oh, so just really quickly, I want to shout out a comment here in the comments section from Doug out in the Southwest United States, and he says something to the effect that libertarianism and socialism are like oil and water. And it's funny because I was out with a friend today and said that I largely agree. It's really difficult to reconcile those two ideologies. Extremely difficult. Now, I'm sure that somebody has come up with a brilliant treatise that helps people approach that and think about it differently. So I won't say that they cannot be reconciled, but I struggle with that myself.
No, I don't disagree. That's kind of outside of the scope of the show but I was just saying that for anybody who's really interested in it, our last article and then the one that we're talking about right now kind of touches on that.
Yes, exactly. I just wanted to call that out because this is some of the stuff we're getting live in the comments tonight.
Also, hi Doug, thanks for tuning in. All right, so in this next article, this desire for autonomy and granular choice extends to the world of finance. And he's talking about the desire for autonomy among millennials. 71%, whereas previously, past generations were really unlikely to switch to a different bank. 71% of millennials would change banks based on the quality of an app. And a full third of us say that we won't need a bank at all in the future. That's bullish for, Ethereum and for really all of cryptocurrency if the goal of, 71% of millennials is to become unbanked.
Yeah, that bodes extremely well for the next generation of finance for sure.
Yeah. So we're looking for new forms of finance that we can tailor to our individual needs. This author is writing as a millennial. So we are demanding even more self-sufficiency in the financial sphere and using revolutionary technologies such as cryptocurrencies to get it. Millennial finance is premised on the ability of new technologies to fundamentally and permanently reshape how the money system operates in both form and function. Millennial finance has more in store, and cryptocurrencies will be key.
Wow. So I love that. I'm a little bit concerned with it being fully branded as millennial finance because, I mean, in a way, that's like saying boomer finance, right? Like, what does that even mean? There's finance, and then there's finance you like and finance that you participate in, and then there's finance that you don't like and finance that you don't participate in the same way that there are plenty of boomers that don't carry stocks and don't speculate in the stock market at all. And probably fewer boomers that are unconvinced or remain unconvinced of the value of real estate as a good long-term investment within their lifetime. But I guess I struggle with the branding. I get it's a branding thing probably for the purpose of having something fresh for an article. But I struggle with the idea that it is somehow uniquely millennial finance, cryptocurrency and DeFi. Yeah.
I don't think that this author is trying to argue that DeFi is specifically millennial finance. I think that this author is arguing that DeFi and cryptocurrency plays a very, very critical role in millennial finance.
Sure. Okay. I can see how, maybe just highest participation by millennials. My concern with branding anything based on its generation is that I think the intent sometimes is to create a push button top or a hot button, right there for people. Like you push their buttons and get a polarized response from your audience. Cause there are some people who say, yeah, those millennials still, I don't know why this is the thing, but some people love to pick on millennials. Some people still love to pick on boomers and the whole okay boomer thing. And for me, I'm like, the greatest generation moniker is earned by some people in the boomer generation, but not by all, not by all of them. In the same way that I've met plenty of millennials who just don't match the stereotypes at all, right? Like they shatter them all.
Yeah, for sure. So the point of this article was to say that cryptocurrency and DeFi is critical to millennial finance because millennials are the largest, portion of the working class, or not working class. Let's see, how do they put it?
Workforce.
So yeah, we're the majority of the workforce right now. That's really the reason for writing it this way, though I can definitely see your criticism, and I wouldn't want to brand anything, generationally anyway, because then that automatically excludes anybody who doesn't identify with that generation.
Yeah, what comes after Zoomers, right? They'll be like, oh, cryptocurrency is so old. That's for millennials.
Yeah. So it can offer solutions to many of the shortcomings of traditional finance. This generation has extremely low levels of trust in institutions, including regulators and banks. Cryptocurrency minimizes the need for trust.
I'm just wondering when all of this became new again, right? Like, there are so many people and so many generations that have fundamentally mistrusted banks and fundamentally mistrusted the the capital F finance world, just because they knew that liens were and compound debt, right? Compound interest working against their interests. They knew that it was like absolutely diabolical, right? I mean, it literally felt like the influence of hell reaching up from Dante's Inferno to capture everything they held dear. I'm thinking of, the people who suffered from serious problems such as the Dust Bowl, right? Who just, their livelihood was destroyed by financiers and by lien holders at that time. So, and most of these folks are long dead, right? They're not even boomers per se. So I guess I'm wondering, like, when did this become new? Nobody should trust banks in general without doing serious contemplation and homework.
Yeah, so millennials are using crypto to drive the growth of decentralized finance, or DeFi. So that's really exciting, really, for everyone in cryptocurrency right now, because, yeah, we're talking about a paradigm shift.
I sincerely hope that millennials do lead the charge, and I sincerely hope that through example that more of them actually do attempt to go unbanked, and that they do so in favor of cryptocurrencies as opposed to fiat currencies. I really do. It would be lovely, absolutely lovely, for the history books to write about this chapter of finance as though it is capital M, capital F, millennial finance. That'd be amazing.
Yep. All right. So moving on, I asked some people just about an hour or two ago, hey, what do you guys want to see us talk about tonight for the news, cryptocurrency news? And my friend, I think both of our friend, who was it who sent it to me?
Nifty Gateway.
Okay. So wrote that, that we should cover this NFT, this amazing, wait, is it a Picasso NFT? Hang on, let me.
It looks like a Picasso, yes.
Yeah, Picasso's Bull by Trevor Jones Art break nifty giveaway auction record. Will it break the all-time NFT record? And only one is available. We can't wait to see who takes the auction home tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So actually this is over. I think that this went for, I heard something about this going for over $55,000.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I want to say, I think you mentioned that this is the highest priced NFT to date.
Yeah.
And remind me, what platform is this NFT issued on?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
Okay. Yeah. Great. I mean, this is just it. This is part of the growing pains of millennial finance and the next generation of DeFi just coming up with either agreed upon standards or agreed upon standards for interledger protocols, so that it doesn't matter what platform it's issued on. Anybody can just accept it and use tools that are easiest for them, in the same way that people are, relatively speaking, comfortable with, or were once comfortable with writing a check, receiving a check, comfortable with issuing wire transfers and receiving them, and comfortable with using credit cards or debit cards now.
All right, so speaking of NFTs, there was a pretty big deal with Garbage Pail Kids NFTs selling out in 67 minutes. So,
Damn!
Yeah, crazy, right? Okay, so just keep going on this news. Topps only needed little more than an hour, though. So this time, there were 7,000 mega packs on sale for $19.99. Those sold out in 25 minutes. The mega packs were good for 193. I don't know if that's 0.90 in revenue. Okay, so it's they did raise $204,800, I think. Yeah. And these Garbage Pail Kids NFTs. So some people on Twitter are complaining about whales buying large amounts of cards, and that some of them paid money by credit card but never received any cards. The response is that if you didn't get your packs, you will get your money back. So They're considering taking limitations on the next round of cards of packs buying into consideration for future sales. In this second sale, collectors can now buy the cheapest cards for approximately 100 wax, which equals about $4.80. 2 months ago, the lowest price was about 30 wax. So that's a major markup in a short period of time.
Jeez, heck yeah, it is. So great to see, though, as far as the NFT and collectibles market, because blockchain has always promised, I think, within the collectibles market and then within real estate and real goods and certain aspects of supply chain and public records. These are some of these areas in which the use case has been so crystal clear from early on with blockchain. It's great to see Topps jumping in and making this a reality.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that this is also really exciting because NFTs, or the existence of these collectible, valuable NFTs is also great for the future of gaming, which is a huge step, for mainstream adoption. That's how a lot of people learn about cryptocurrencies, is because they're playing some kind of game where that's how goods and services are exchanged, right? So yeah, I think that this is a huge step in the direction towards adoption.
Nice. And then we have another one here that you sent over regarding Coinbase. Also, this one's from Cointelegraph.
I'm going to read this this tweet from my friend Crypto Nutter before we go into that article, because that kind of ties to this. So this is our conversation about the NFTs. Crypto Nutter is the person who I talk to the most about NFTs because simply he's the most enthusiastic person that I've ever met on the topic. Another very interesting aspect of this is what I call the reverse on-ramp to crypto. You or your kids use your credit card to buy from Topps in USD. Then they can sell for wax on the secondary market to get crypto. The motivation to get a Coinbase account is reversed. We talk a ton about the need to, delete Coinbase without really having something easy to use for someone who's new to crypto in its place. I don't think that that's a reasonable, expectation, but maybe things like this are getting us a step closer to that.
That makes perfect sense. There are some people right now. I've got a friend who's a non-coiner and has totally stayed away from it. He and I both worked at Samsung Telecom. If you're watching, Mountain Drew, good to see you. Hopefully he is. But we weren't ignorant to Bitcoin in 2012, in 2013, because we worked in technology, and even a little bit earlier than that, just sort of we were tangentially aware of it because we knew people who were paying attention to it and getting their hands dirty. But he has been a conscientious objector, we'll say, the entire time, just saying like, well, this is a game where clearly as exchanges opened up and as price started to go crazy and he saw people earning a lot of money and saw people who started to advocate hodling as a means of wealth accumulation and running the numbers, right? Doing the math, like, if every person in the first world were able to somehow magically obtain a single Bitcoin, or if anyone here obtains at least one full Bitcoin, then if it became the de facto reserve currency of crypto, right, of blockchain or of new economies, then you'd price out. Like, you'd effectively make yourself like a more rare than 1%er, right? Like, you would really mess over the rest of the world's population. That was his argument the entire time. Mm-hmm. But when pressed for details, this same friend said, oh, you know what I collect, though? I collect Magic the Gathering cards. Mm-hmm. As a means of like trying to store wealth. Specifically, unironically told me without batting an eye, I collect Magic the Gathering cards. And I know that this is going to be a good investment for me. So to your point and Crypto Nutter's point here, I think you're right. Kids who may not initially see the benefit of cryptocurrencies, and maybe even my non-coiner, if he knew that he could get something like Magic the Gathering cards
right
via an NFT, then yeah, maybe the other approach where it's like, well, you would collect this in real life, right? You'd collect a paper card and, baseball cards in the 1960s and 70s. Man, kids went nuts over those, and they turned into real money later on.
Right. So, I mean, same thing with your friend collecting those, Magic the Gathering cards. Let's say that the Garbage Pail Kids pack that he bought was worth 30, wax last week, and he suddenly sees that it's worth, more than 3 times that in a couple of weeks' time. Might that be a starting point or an introduction to cryptocurrencies. I mean, I don't know specifically for your friend if it would, but I can see the potential there.
Yeah, I think Crypto Nutter's onto something. Definitely spot on.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, before we move on to the Coinbase article, is there anything that we can say about Garbage Pail Kid NFTs?
Not publicly, not yet.
Okay, sorry guys, never mind. Moving on.
But I think we've maybe said too much already.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, I will say this. If you are interested in NFTs, definitely don't just stay tuned to our Monday show and to the Saturday show. Start to invite friends without divulging too much. That may work in your favor in the future.
Okay, cool. So since we're talking about Coinbase and, some of the problems with it, and since we're such big fans of privacy and Monero XMR here on this show, it made sense to bring up this article. Do you have that?
Sure do. Okay,
so Coinbase CEO says that the exchange won't list it due to issue with regulators. Now, this isn't surprising at all. We've heard people saying that privacy coins will go to zero before the end of the year, or at least at some point in the future, because the government is going to crack down on untraceable currencies. That's possible, but like we've said before, even if that were to happen, that doesn't mean that the coins would lose their value. In fact, wouldn't that be a time when it was most important to own privacy coins? So here's what Brian Armstrong says. He says, Coinbase won't be listing privacy coins like Monero as there's still untested grounds for regulators in the United States. I guess they probably don't want to go to the trouble of listing it and then have to unlist it should anything go on. Also, with Coinbase being extremely compliant, that all makes sense, right? So though Bitcoin is still the token of choice for some users of darknet sites and scams, many criminals have left instructions for their victims to pay them in XMR instead. Seth, there was something related to that Twitter Bitcoin hack that happened just a couple weeks ago about somebody sending a note about using XMR.
Absolutely. And I have to pull up my notes. I don't know that I have a third-party documentation of this that I can pull on screen, guys. But within the messaging fields of the UTXOs given to the scammer's address, some dust transactions were sent that spelled out the message. And I'm pulling this up live, so be patient with me, guys. But somebody sent the scammers a message, a coded message. And within that coded message, they told them, oh my gosh, why? Why is it disappearing in my feed here? I don't know if you have this open in your notes. I do not. I don't. Okay, so this is a little farther back in some of my notes, but they essentially told them not safe to accept Bitcoin. You should use Monero. I'm paraphrasing now. But they sent that within the messaging.
Here it is. I've got it, Seth. So it said, just read all. Transaction outputs as text. You take risk when use Bitcoin for your Twitter game. Bitcoin is traceable. Why not Monero?
There you go.
Yeah. So, okay, moving on. Although Kraken allows trading of Monero and has for 3 years, and Binance has since September of 2019. Some South Korean crypto exchanges, Bithumb and Singapore-based exchange Huobi announced earlier this year that they would be removing XMR from their listings as the token faced allegations that it was used for criminal acts. That's absurd. Of course, Monero has been used for criminal acts, as has Bitcoin, as is the dollar, as is gold,
Right. Yeah. When you submit cash, when you can submit large sums of cash to your banking institution or your credit union here in the United States, they do not stop you at the door, count each bill, and scan it for traces of cocaine. They don't, they can't, and they won't. It's just not something they will ever do because it would destroy commerce.
So why is that even something that people are, saying that some that Monero should be exiled because it's sometimes used for illegal transactions? That to me is completely absurd.
Well, consider this also. Recently, Brian Armstrong was approached by Zuko Wilcox, the lead dev and now essentially the CEO of the electric coin company, formerly the Zcash company, which is the counterpart of the Zcash Foundation. They're not actually the research wing. They are the business wing. And he's been advocating publicly, Zuko Wilcox, for Coinbase to support Z addresses, their shielded addresses. And we may see that happen. We may see Coinbase support shielded addresses for Zcash before it accepts Monero. I'm just going to ask this question. I won't make it come to try to state that there's any sort of conclusion that I've come to, but I just wonder if Zcash has cryptographically provably, mathematically superior zero knowledge and privacy, then why would Coinbase accept Z transactions from them? I'm just going to leave the audience with that thought. I don't know.
All right. So I think the major piece of news that's left for us to cover right now is, Chainlink, which is so many people's favorite coin, right, has just gone through a crazy run up. And then right on the heels of that, there's this Zeus Capital Asset Management and Research Fund firm issuing the Chainlink Fraud Exposed, an investigative report on why Chainlink is the crypto's wirecard.
Oh, snap! Guys, I need to reinstall the soundboard and make a nuke sound. Boom! Yikes.
So without going through the report in full, I can't actually pull up the last article that I have marked up relative to the Chainlink hack. Do you have that?
It is not pulling up, actually. The base article may have been changed or unpublished.
Okay, unfortunate. Okay, so really what the article was saying is originally, although, they're saying that there's some elements of code in this report linking Zeus Capital to Nexo Finance. Nexo has adamantly denied those claims and said that they're partners with Chainlink. Where this came from, there are various theories floating around. I think it's worth it to probably check out some of what these people have tried to expose and really trying to get to the bottom, not about who had the motive to publish this, right? Because we could, go on that kind of hunt, but why? Really what I think is necessary to find out is any of the criticism valid?
Yeah, I wonder about this. This is precisely the kind of content that can be used as a hit piece by market makers and whales in order to manipulate the price down to a level that they're comfortable coming in, swooping in, and sopping up all the blood out of the streets. They talk about the downside potential being 99%. And I wonder if that's really just them making a wish request, like wishful thinking, we really want to buy it 99% lower. So here's a hit piece.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty, maybe totally possible, right? But I think that it's worth evaluating that, particularly for people who are holding large bags of Chainlink.
Totally agreed. I guess I'm urging anybody who looks at this article or who reposts it to look at it very critically and look at it through the lens of potential interference being run by third parties who are interested in the same asset, right? And who also invest in the same space. They don't make money by educating you for free.
Right.
So yeah. I wonder.
Cool. So that's all that I've got prepared for today. Seth, anything you want to talk about?
I think, no, tonight we just wanted to go over, a lot of price action stuff, a lot of market stuff, and just wanted to, express love for the community. Guys, thanks so much for being supportive of the show. Nicole and I have gone through a couple of changes on the show and been inviting increasingly heavier hitting guests. Last week we had Roger Veer. We've got a soft commitment from Peter McCormick, who runs the What Bitcoin Did podcast, and it's just been such an incredibly good sport about that. Got a soft commitment from a few other notable figures in the space. Among them, I think you mentioned Brock Pierce. So
really, we've got Brock Pierce confirmed, just waiting to hear on if it's going to be next week or the week after. And kind of the same thing with Charles Hoskinson. We've got confirmations. I've talked to their assistants and, teams, and it's happening. So yeah, we've got those two things happening. I still really want to talk to Haven at some point. Maybe we'll even do like a separate, another day so that we can, get everyone in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can confirm that also the Haven Protocol Discord, that the community is very supportive of the idea as well. So when I tagged Pierre Lafitte and Dweeb, or Pierre and David, that the community seemed pretty excited about that. Michael is also asking in the comment section about Charlie Lee, having Charlie Lee on the channel. And I think,
I'm working on it. I can't get in touch with him. So anybody who knows, maybe, I wasn't able to reach Roger on Twitter either. And someone from Bitcoin Cash community came through and said, hey, you know what? He hangs out on Telegram. And as soon as I wrote him, he wrote me right back. So if somebody knows where Charlie Lee hangs out, I will go and hang out there because I want to talk to him too.
Yeah. Again, no judgment. You guys have heard me. You've heard me in the past make jokes. It's also a space where, we've got great water cooler talk. We've got great banter in this space. There's actually so much more goodwill than you'd believe if you only tune in to crypto on Twitter or on Reddit. There's so much more goodwill behind the scenes, and people really don't take them as themselves quite as seriously as you might think. So when you hear me make banter about whatever or whomever, or joking about certain coin founders, that's exactly been it in the past. But we're extremely excited. You've seen how we handle our guests. We treat them with respect, with care, and with intelligence, right? And fancy that, asking them intelligent questions and allowing them to answer.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to Peter McCormick being our guest, of course. So have you guys talked about dates or anything like that?
Nothing confirmed just yet, but we do have the conversation going. So hopefully that happens sooner than later.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. All right, cool. So let's see, Scambuster Saturday this week. We're going to do the Coiner Rando showed me. And then I really want to film the other 2 episodes of Scambuster Saturdays, but maybe put them on my channel.
Ooh, what do you guys think of that? So yeah, cross-channel collab. It's about time, right? Hasn't NerdGrl been putting in amazing work, guys? Go ahead and give a thumbs up down on this video and give a little applause emoji in the chat, the live chat, if you appreciate the amount of hard work that Nicole has been putting into the Scambuster Saturday show and into the Monday show. So much research and development of the content that we've been publishing lately is thanks largely to one Miss Nicole Grinstead, aka NerdGrl. So go ahead and show your appreciation for her. Yeah, in the comments section there. So I've got a question for you though, Nicole, before we wrap the show. This is really important. This is the important stuff.
Okay. All right. I'm here. I'm here for it.
What t-shirt are you wearing tonight?
I'm wearing a crypto nerd shirt. So on our Scambuster Saturday, I was wearing one that didn't look so good. And this one looks a lot better, I think. Yeah. Crypto nerd. Guys, on the guy's shirt, the print shows up way bigger, So
awesome. And I've got that open on the browser right now. I'm going to put that in the comment section of our live stream. Guys, you can go ahead and hit up that link right there. We don't have an active promotion going right now, but we do have more merch going in courtesy of several coin projects as well. Do be supportive. Any design that says by NrdGrl007, the 100% of our profit margin of those products goes to guess who?
Me.
Yep. And that is in support of NrdGrl's work and effort on the show and on the channel. So please buy liberally, buy for a friend, buy for several friends, buy multiples for several friends. Yeah. We do have kids merch too. So yeah, do be generous there. This, in these unprecedented times, it's much appreciated.
Yeah. Nobody's asking for a handout, but like, hey, I'll sell you a shirt,
Hey, yeah, we're going to work for it. Imagine that. We're going to give them good stuff in exchange.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So yeah.
So that was the biggest question that I had about tonight. The other question that I have in regards to content coming up, I think that there was an additional guest that you've been talking to that we've got a soft commitment from. Is it too early to talk about them?
No, Jeff Berwick.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Jeff, I've talked to him quite a bit about crypto tribalism and objectivity in journalism, and I've met Jeff, and I didn't get a chance to interview him at Anarchapulco. So when we were leaving, he told me, hey, I owe you an interview. He does. He knows it's going to be fine. I don't have a date yet, but definitely that's coming up. I'm looking forward to talking to him about that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you guys heard it there. So we've got plenty of people within the crypto sphere, and then really an ultra heavyweight in the ANCAP space. So yeah, please do be supportive there as well. And if you know these people's handles on Twitter, if you know where they hang out elsewhere, do us a solid and please let them know. We want to have them here live so that our lovely audience can treat them also with care and respect and ask them the important questions that nobody else is asking them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Awesome.
I think that's all we got for tonight.
Cool. Easy night. Night, guys.
See you guys.
Disappointed! Disappointed! Very disappointed! 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 Wait a minute. In my world, disappointed. Very disappointed. Wait a minute. Disappointed! Disappointed! Very disappointed! 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 Wait a minute. In my world, disappointed. Very disappointed. Wait a minute.